What if I told you that some of your most common habits, maybe even the ones you think are just weird quirks, are actually secret signs of a really powerful mind? And no, we're not talking about test scores or grades here. We're talking about deep-seated patterns that science actually links to high intelligence. Okay, let's get into it. Just think about that for a second. We're always told, stop overthinking, just make a decision. But what if that constant analysis, that need to look at a problem from every single angle, what if that's not a bug, but a core feature of a more sophisticated cognitive engine? So, to really get this, let's use an analogy. Think of most brains as being like a point-and-shoot camera. It's quick, it's automatic, and it's great for capturing the surface of things. But a highly intelligent mind, that's more like a professional-grade camera. Yeah, it takes a little longer to set up, it requires all these manual adjustments, but the final image it captures has so much more depth, detail, and clarity. So, what are these manual adjustments I'm talking about? Well, this is exactly where that so-called overthinking comes in. It's not wasted energy at all. It's the mind carefully calibrating all of its settings to get the absolute sharpest picture of reality possible. Psychologists actually have a term for this kind of productive overthinking. It's called cognitive reflection. It's basically the built-in habit of hitting pause on your immediate gut reaction. So instead of just running with the first answer that pops into your head, you challenge it, you test it, and you dig for a much deeper, more nuanced understanding. And that quote really nails the core difference, doesn't it? It's a fundamental shift from a simple stimulus-response pattern to something way more complex. Stimulus, reflection, and then a considered response. And that is the hallmark of advanced problem solving. Now, there's a pretty unexpected consequence to all this deep analysis. When you're constantly examining things from every angle, you inevitably start examining yourself and your own limitations. And this can look an awful lot like self-doubt. But in psychology, this is not seen as a weakness. It's actually a huge strength called intellectual humility. It's that deep down awareness that you just don't have all the answers. And what's so crucial is that this humility isn't a roadblock. It's the very fuel that drives the desire to learn more. We can see this super clearly when we put it side by side with a cognitive bias you've probably heard of, the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? That's the tendency for people with lower ability at something to really overestimate how good they are. Well, highly intelligent people often do the complete opposite. They're acutely, sometimes painfully aware of the vastness of what they don't know. Okay, so if a powerful mind is constantly making these intricate internal adjustments, what about the data it's taking in from the outside world? A professional camera needs high-quality light and information to do its job. The brain's no different. And this is where deep focus comes into the picture. A lot of the time, it boils down to a pretty simple two-step process. By talking less, you create the space to truly observe more. See, intelligent people don't always feel the need to dominate a conversation because they're busy in the background gathering all this rich information that other people are just missing. And this isn't just passive listening. We're talking about active observation. You're not just hearing the words someone's saying, you're processing their tone of voice, their body language, the emotional undercurrent, and the logic, or maybe the lack of logic, behind their argument. It's a skill that's tied to both intellectual and emotional awareness. As you can imagine, all this intense data gathering and internal processing, it takes a ton of mental energy. And that's exactly why solitude isn't about being antisocial. For a highly active mind, it's a cognitive necessity. It's the time you need to go into the darkroom and develop the film, you know? And there's some really interesting research to back this up. A study from the British Journal of Psychology found that while most people tend to get happier the more they socialize, for highly intelligent individuals, it's often the opposite. And why is that? It's because their brains are craving that quiet space they need for deep thought, to connect all the dots they've been busy observing. So what happens when you combine these careful manual adjustments, like cognitive reflection, with all that high-quality data you get from deep focus and observation? Well, you get the final result. A rich, detailed, and incredibly clear picture of the world. But what's the engine that's driving this entire process? From the observation to the reflection, what's the one thing that keeps it all going? It's an insatiable curiosity, a relentless desire to understand not just what is happening, but why it's happening. In psychology, this is actually part of a major personality trait known as openness to experience. And tons of research, including work from the University of London, has found a really strong positive correlation between this trait and IQ scores. Bottom line, an intelligent mind is an open and a hungry mind. And you see this pop up in everyday life. Are you someone who loves falling down Wikipedia rabbit holes or exploring abstract concepts just for the fun of it? Or are you constantly asking why about things everyone else just takes for granted? That's not a distraction. That's your intellectual hunger hard at work. Okay, so let's bring all this together. It's really time to reframe how you see your own mind. That overthinking, that need for alone time, that constant curiosity, they are not random quirks. They are the essential tools in your cognitive toolkit. Here's the most important takeaway from all of this. Stop thinking of these traits as flaws that need to be fixed. They are the very mechanics that allow your brain to function like that professional camera, to capture a version of reality that has unparalleled depth and clarity. And that leaves us with one final thought to really chew on. In our fast-paced world, which so often rewards the quickest, simplest, point-and-shoot answers, what is the real, untapped power of a mind that is deliberately, and I think beautifully, built for deep and meaningful understanding?